clothes together?
The principal and the vice principal! They can't be together, they're coworkers.
And just like that, South Park plunges us straight into the turbulent waters of workplace romance. Imagine a world where two people being together is a disaster because they share the same LinkedIn address. Only South Park could take something as unremarkable as two colleagues falling in love and turn it into a societal crisis. But here's the twist. South Park isn't just mocking school administrators with wandering eyes, they're mocking society's view of them. Episodes like Super Hard PC-ness and Splatty Tomato dig into the heart of society's uncomfortable relationship with, well, relationships at work. Even posts the hashtag MeToo movement. So, why do we react to these office romances like we're preying on our stepsister that is stuck in the washing machine? And what makes the workplace the one place we collectively agree love should fear to tread? Do men Trey have the answer? Well, let's find out. At the start of Super Hard PC-ness, we are first introduced to Strong Woman. After there's been a lot of insensitivity and bullying going on at school, PC Principal has found the solution.
It is my firm belief that South Park Elementary is in desperate need of a strong woman.
He then starts describing her as
powerful, intelligent, and independent female to be a role model for us all.
Which would already be classified as sexual harassment in the workplace, in modern days. After the introduction, Strong Woman takes the stage.
All right, everyone, listen up. I'm the new vice principal of the school.
Meanwhile, Butters is whispering something to Clyde, which causes PC Principal to interfere.
Hey, Stutch! You do not disrespect Strong Woman by talking when she's talking!
Much to the annoyance of Strong Woman, who I kinda expected to be completely humorless. She instead is actually pretty cool.
You really think I couldn't have handled that myself?
This goes back and forth for a little bit where PC Principal is trying to stand up for Strong Woman, but she doesn't like it. She can stand up for herself. It's a great example of how thin the line between chivalry and chauvinism has become. It's only at the faculty meeting where things really take a turn. PC Principal introduces Strong Woman to the kids and the teachers.
So with that, let me turn over the floor to our new vice principal, Strong Woman.
As Strong Woman delivers her speech, PC Principal tries to stay professional, but he can't. She's just talking about how she was
observing in the cafeteria and was pretty shocked by the abusive and intolerant language.
Then something about updating gym uniforms. Meanwhile, Hootie and the Blowfish's Hold My Hand starts playing in the PC Principal's head. I can't play it due to copyright, but believe me, PC Principal is gone. As Strong Woman continues to outline her goals for creating a safer, more inclusive environment, PC Principal's mind is doing something entirely different. The school cafeteria fades away, and suddenly he's in a world of pink hearts, flowers, and drifting clouds. It's like one of those corny music videos from the 90s, except instead of some sort of pop star, it's the school principal who's head over heels in love with his new coworker. For someone who's supposed to be the ultimate voice of restraint and self-control, he's really having a hard time holding it together. This is where South Park starts attacking our views on workplace relationships. On paper, PC Principal and Strong Woman should be a perfect platonic pair, united in their commitment to political correctness and safe spaces. But as per hashtag MeToo rules, PC Principal shouldn't even look at Strong Woman. But he looks, and he feels things that would definitely get him canceled. Society feels that too, but they can't help it. Attraction to a coworker is something all of us have probably experienced at some point. I know I have. Twice. It might have been frowned upon, but there were no policies against it. There's just something irresistible about dating coworkers. But what is that? This won't come off as a surprise, but the most obvious reason is you spend a lot of time together. There's also a lot of different studies on this, so I'll just put some graphs up for you here. Each of these graphs is slightly different to one another, but they do make it clear that between the ages of 21 and 35, you probably spend more time per year with a coworker than with friends, family, or anyone you're romantically involved with. Then psychologists get involved, claiming the more you see someone, the more familiar you get with them, and the more likely you are to be attracted to them. Who knew? You're also more likely to have shared interests with coworkers. Combine that with tackling problems together at work and bonding over mutual hate for Greg from HR, and you literally have to start fighting those feelings. So it's not really surprising that those relationships start happening. Researchers claim between 10 to 22% of relationships start at the workplace. It's even in the top 3 places couples actually find each other, only to be beaten by online dating and meeting someone through friends. If online dating isn't working and you don't have that many friends, or you don't see many of your friends because you're working, guess what you have left? So, how do you deal with these feelings? Well, you can run away from your feelings like PC Principal.
Hey, excuse me, everyone. I need to get to the restroom. Sorry, I'll be right back.
So, PC Principal rushes to the doctor's office, practically begging for a diagnosis that could explain why his moral compass is suddenly spinning out of control.
I'm having this problem with my ears. There's like a persistent kind of a ringing going on.
The doctor leans in with his otoscope, and as he peers into PC Principal's ears, he expects to find something, anything that could explain his symptoms.
Okay, can you describe the ringing?
Almost too embarrassed, he admits,
It's Hootie and the Blowfish.
like he's confessing a crime. But luckily, PC Principal knows where this is coming from.
Yeah, there's a new woman that has joined our faculty, and she seems to have set off some kind of device in my ears.
But the doctor already knows what's going on.
So maybe you're having some feelings for her.
But that's not an option. As they work in the same place, it would be impossible for someone as politically correct as PC Principal to like a coworker, especially a subordinate. The doctor concludes there's no Hootie and the Blowfish in his ears. That leaves only one place for them to play.
I believe you're hearing them in your mind and your heart.
Oh, dude. Bro.
Now, running away from those feelings might not be the best option, so what can you actually do? You consult Reddit, where the best advice seems to rub one out and let post-nut clarity clear your mind like Buddha. Namaste. But that doesn't work for girls though. And because of the taboo surrounding it, all internet white knights tell you to brush it off and move on with life as a workplace romance never lasts. Which is stupid. As surveys in the past pointed out that approximately 36% of people have dated a coworker in their lifetime. They're either still butthurt over breaking up, got married, or they know something we don't know. Life's way too short to listen to strangers' advice on the internet anyways. You can always consult another coworker first, like PC Principal does. PC Principal heads over to Mr. Mackey with a lame excuse about how he thinks the kids at school are liking their new vice principal. But that's not the real reason why he's here.
Do you know if Strong Woman has a boyfriend?
It completely catches Mr. Mackey off guard. Panicking, PC Principal tries to explain himself. He's only asking if Strong Woman is taken so he can stop thinking about her. He's sure that if she's already off the market, he can just flip a switch and focus back on school policies and social justice. But Mackey's not buying it.
This is bad.
And the only one solution he can think of is to call HR. But not the HR PC Principal is hoping for.
HR? Is that like Hootie removal?
Usually when HR gets involved, it's for a good reason. I once cracked jokes that were so funny I got HR called to tell them again. They're called humor resources for a reason. Unfortunately, HR apparently gatekeeps humor as well. I was told not to joke about any sensitive subjects again to avoid losing my job. It really explains why HR usually is the most hated department in a company. In fact, if everything goes well, companies don't even need an HR department. Don't believe me? There's a billion-dollar company out there called Octopus Energy with over 1,600 employees. They don't have an HR department. Surely they would get rated terribly as an employer, right? Well, they score a 4.4 rating out of 5 on Glassdoor. Does that mean we're generally better off without HR though? Not really. There's two big reasons for HR to exist. The most prominent one is to protect the company as much as possible, like making sure everything goes smoothly with salaries, benefits, preventing lawsuits, and firing people that are troublesome to the company. Which might not be what it sounds like.
Enemy spotted.
Let's have a look at the story of Uber. There was this manager who overstepped boundaries with a lot of his female subordinates he got in contact with. When reported to HR, HR would tell the victims it was the manager's first offense and that they wouldn't feel comfortable giving him anything other than a warning and a stern talking to. You can already guess, it wasn't his first offense. But he was a high performer for the company. And as HR makes decisions based on what is best for the interest of the company, they decided indirectly punishing the whistleblower was the best course of action. The victim could either go and find another team and then never have to interact with the manager again, or stay on the same team and most likely receive a poor performance review when review time comes around. Just remember, HR is almost never on your side. They're on the company's side. They might seem like a lovable aunt you can trust and confide in, but they're absolutely not. Let's also look at what could happen if you don't have an HR department. Like, what do you do if the CEO says she wants you and asks about how to make you climax? Or if the CEO summons you to a meeting while she is using the toilet. Perhaps you get turned on if you're into that, but you're most likely to run to HR. Maybe both. In this case, over 1/3 of the company quit before the CEO stepped down. Something HR might have been able to solve a bit sooner. But what is the other thing we need HR for? Well, useless bureaucracy-related stuff. Where do you place someone who has no talent? HR. Who needs to enforce nitpicky rules and outdated policies? HR. Who has to kill people's careers? HR. Useless team-building activities? HR. What about hiring new people for a position? Would it be helpful to let the person managing that position decide who's the right fit because they understand what the company needs for that position and to be the one working with them? That doesn't sound logical, does it? No. Let's have HR hire a person that they have little knowledge of what the position actually involves. Just like Mr. Mackey, who brings in an HR expert to deal with their problem. Another faculty meeting is held at the elementary school, preceded by a quick introduction by PC Principal.
As you know, we want to provide a safe work environment for all our employees.
The Human Resources Division is introduced.
So, please welcome Heather Conduct. Go ahead, Miss Conduct.
Matt and Trey really outdid themselves on her name. Now, Miss Conduct has some conversations with the staff, and as an introduction to the topic of inappropriate feelings, she asks for a show of hands if anyone has ever been found guilty of developing them. Much to the surprise of PC Principal, Strong Woman is the only one that raises her hand. Next up, Miss Conduct starts a role-playing exercise that only makes things worse than they already were.
Now, did you have a nice night?
Yeah, it was good.
It starts off innocently, but soon turns into a full-on coffee date in front of the rest of the staff.
I like hiking around, being around in nature.
No, I agree. The city's bad. I love hiking too.
At this point, it's not just PC Principal who can't control his feelings in the workplace. The faculty is turning into one big #MeToo scandal in the making. So, should your boss or your workplace have something to say in your romantic life? Well, let's think about it. The average person changes jobs 12 times in their lifetime, meaning they spend an average of 4.3 years with each individual employer. Now, is it worth waiting 4.3 years to ask out your coworker or completely missing out on the love of your life? You can decide that for yourself. Just know companies go to great lengths to prevent you from having them. Take McDonald's, for example. In 2019, they fired their CEO over having a consensual relationship with an employee. They did this because a policy said no manager was to have a relationship with a subordinate, and that policy was carefully put in place. But why? Well, as soon as one employee has the power to fire the other, the whole power dynamic argument comes into play. It's very hard to say no to your boss when they want to date you. Even if they don't threaten you, they still have the power to either fire you or make your work life very difficult. So it's hard to know if the relationship was driven by true desire or if someone is abusing their power to get laid. Even if both parties stated the relationship was consensual, there is still a significant number of people who will insist that the superior abuse their position of power to get laid. It's safer for McDonald's public image to prevent bosses dating their juniors, as it undermines morale by creating an appearance of favoritism and reducing the perceived level of professionalism around the workplace. But McDonald's isn't the only one to change their policies. The same goes for Airbnb, Facebook, and other big names. This fits in with the growing trend of employers controlling more than just your love life. More and more workplaces are demanding that you are available as and when required. Take British supermarket chain ASDA, for example. In 2019, they were enforcing new contracts that roster you at any time of the day or night in any role. Similarly, in the care sector, rostering is done for the convenience of a roster manager. You may not know where and when you are required to work less than a week, sometimes just a day, before your shift. If you didn't sign the new contract, you were let go. This is a company that claims we keep it pretty informal, down-to-earth, and accessible on their hiring website. Doesn't seem that down-to-earth to me. It's an example of the effect employers take on controlling your capacity to have relationships with other people. Your children, your partner, your parents, your friends, all have to come second to the work culture or policies of your workplace. You are unable to plan your life, your relationships, your time with family and friends because you are at the beck and call of work. Too many employers not only feel they can choose whom you have a relationship with, but also whether you have a relationship with anybody. Either their policies require or your career advancement depends on constant availability. In effect, you are forced to choose whether to maintain a job, build a career, or nurture relationships with those important to you. But why do they do this? Well, it could be due to capitalism. The more control they have over employees, the better they can control all company funds. We're still in a post-sexual revolution world where we can't seem to agree on anything. Since #MeToo, workplace dating has turned into an old tradition into an endless minefield of constantly shifting rules. Everybody has a different idea of what sexual ethics everybody else should follow, and it creates a lot of uncertainty. You could visualize it like the whole flirting versus sexual harassment confusion. If someone likes you, it's flirting. If someone doesn't, it's harassment. Anyhow, companies are scared of PR risks, so they minimize their exposure to lawsuits by either banning office romances outright or regulating them as tightly as possible. Meanwhile, in South Park, the HR date is interrupted by an alarm. But then, the principal and the vice principal have to make sure everybody in the school is safe, so they go make sure all the classes are empty. They stumble upon a door, which PC principal would like to open, but can't because of gender-based biases this could imply. It is then they both reach for the doorknob. Which brings us to the next episode, Splatty Tomato. Here, the politically correct lovebirds continue their love story, but this time, it's no longer just the school interfering with their romance, it's society. When a parent, Bob White, comes into the principal's office to complain about how the school is pushing political views on his children, he is assured by Strong Woman that the school is doing nothing wrong.
Mr. White, we assure you that we run the school in a very professional manner and don't let personal emotions get in the way.
PC Principal and Strong Woman try hiding their growing feelings from everybody, but they are terrible at it. When they go out to lunch, they bring Butters along to make it look like it's work-related.
We can't keep doing this. People are gonna see through it.
Is it my fault that I found the most amazing, perfect, beautiful woman at work?
This is a commentary on the general consensus about workplace romance among the PC crowd. As Strong Woman further states,
Nobody will understand.
which is true in South Park. An unrelated subplot of this episode involves a whole town scouring in the woods in an attempt to find Mr. Garrison, who's hiding there. While searching for Mr. Garrison, Randy finds Strong Woman and PC Principal in a tent, naked, and doing the thing.
Principal and vice principal are like together.
But that can't be happening. Coworkers can't be in love.
Wait, you mean he's actually her superior and they were in their...
So what is society's problem with workplace romance? Well, there wasn't much of a problem with workplace romance in the past if we looked at company policies. It was always slightly frowned upon, but in general, people were pretty relaxed about it. That was until the MeToo movement, where the definition of sexual harassment and assault got stretched further and further until dating or even hitting on coworkers became practically illegal under #MeToo rules. Dating coworkers is not the villain of South Park's story. It's how stupid and overblown all the rules around it have become, because of society. Corporations are just responding to the prevailing social attitudes towards office romances, and as those social norms changed, so did the policies. Once PC Principal and Strong Woman were found out, everybody starts vomiting, which is a commentary on the sheer insanity of it. Now, South Park doesn't actually pick a side on the dilemma of dating coworkers. They just love to mock society. Boring, right? How can we ever know how to handle workplace relationships without South Park telling us what to do? Well, we can just use common sense. I'll give you some principles to remember. First, consider the office crush fantasy versus reality. It's easy to see why the idea is tempting. Long hours, shared projects, and the fantasy of making love on your boss's desk can create the perfect storm. But this isn't some workplace rom-com. If things go south, there is no fade to black. Just a lot of awkward eye contact over stale coffee. Being around the same people day in and day out can stir up a lot of feelings, some of them romantic. The office is prime real estate for crushes to thrive, but what's good for your social life might not be great for your professional one. Every office relationship runs on its own version of the dual relationship principle. And no, that's not the therapist thing, though sometimes it might feel like it. Think about it. Dating your teammate means asking yourself, whose interest comes first? Mixing personal and professional can turn messy fast. You're not just risking a broken heart, you're risking office reputation, team morale, and possibly your job. If you're moving ahead, check company policies. Some workplaces have strict no dating rules, and others, well, they might just have some guidelines. Either way, ignoring the rules is your ticket to HR's watch list. If it's against the rules, just make sure you are a top performer to avoid any punishment. And whatever you do, don't date the boss or the teammate you're managing. The power dynamics are a mess, the risks are through the roof, and let's be real, everyone on the team will notice. It's hard enough reviewing your colleague's project without them holding a coffee cup with the lipstick mark you all know too well. Work and love don't have to mix 24/7. Set boundaries so that your shared projects don't turn into a second date, or worse, a couples therapy session. And keep the PDA out of the office. Flirting in the break room might seem harmless, but all your coworkers feel is cringe. And finally, if things go south, stay professional. Not every romance is built to last, but for the sake of your career and the team, keep the drama to a minimum. No one needs to be caught in the crossfire of your breakup.